Don't forget, as always, that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.
Today's a great day. Dane sends his love. He's calling a local tournament, so he sends his love that he had to miss this one. And I tell you what, if you're going to miss one, this is one that hurts to miss. So Dane is a little jealous, but today's a great day. Here in a minute, we're going to be bringing on one of my actual local heroes, Bob Lutz. This guy, I've been listening to him call, commentate, speak about sports for over 20 years. The first time I heard him was back in the day with Sports Daily. And I remember saying, I want to be this guy one day. His take on sports, of course, he's a Cardinals fan too, which that's what I am. So it was near and dear to my heart. But the way he'd kind of break down things in a way where no other commentator would do. And he's a huge rock and roll fan too. He's a sports rock star, if you will. So, you guys, it's my absolute pleasure. I've been waiting for this for a long time to bring on the one and only Bob Lutz. Bob, how you doing, my friend?
Well, you filled my head with a lot of stuff there. Thank goodness I'm almost 70 and I can kind of let that go in one area and out the other and not let it create this massive ego.
It's all true, Bob. I meant every word I said. That first time I heard you, man, and the way you approach sports and the way you just have that authority about you, man, you're a big part of why Dane and I do what we do. So we're very honored, sir.
Well,
Thank
I
you so much.
appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir, man. I know you're a busy guy. I'm gonna jump into some questions. I kind of want to break down you as you know, as a journalist, a broadcaster, kind of going back in the day. Obviously, your days with Sports Daily, The Drive, Wichita Eagle. You've been around media for a long time. I'm curious, man, when this all began, when did you get the love to really kind of journal the world, if you will? Maybe it wasn't even sports. When did all this begin for you? You know?
Well, as a kid, I got immersed into sports, and it was my father mainly. We had season tickets to Wichita State basketball and football from my a very young youth. I think I was 7 years old when we started going to all the Shocker games, and my dad was a huge Cardinals fan. He listened to them on the radio practically every day that they played. At that time, St. Louis was the farthest west franchise in Major League Baseball. So, really, anything west of St. Louis, that was kind of the team. Kind of like the Braves and Cubs became later when they had their super stations. So I got to be a big Cardinals fan and just was enamored by sports, and that's how it all started, really.
Yeah, you're also. I got to say, and I'm not filling your head. When I heard you kind of break down Cardinals, because I grew up, I got into the Cardinals during the Sosa McGuire race, and then when you break it down, I said, okay, this is another justifiable reason of why I should be a Cardinals fan. So thank you for that. That's awesome, man. I remember you kind of sharing that story about how that's what got you into it. I'm curious because you've done a lot of interviews over the years, man. I know you're kind of taking a hiatus right now, which is cool, but you've interviewed a lot of high caliber people all across the spectrum. Is there maybe one, and it's probably hard to really pinpoint it? Has there been a favorite interview in your years? It could be sports, it could be non-sports, maybe that you've done in your career?
Yeah, so many in sports. Oscar Robertson jumps to mind. I had the opportunity to interview him once. I was in a group setting for an interview with Wilt Chamberlain up at Allen Fieldhouse quite a few years ago.
Wow.
That stands out because of the iconic nature of those players. But if you get away from sports, we were very lucky to have Steve Martin and Martin Short on our radio show a few years
Yes,
ago
sir.
before they came to Wichita as part of their comedy tour. And it was really, really fun to talk to those guys because I consider them to be two of the most iconic, not just comedians, but entertainers of all time. So that's one that stands out. We had a really fun interview with Eddie Money
Yeah.
on our radio show as well. Gene Simmons, many, many entertainers. So uh, my sports background is great and I love it. And I've valued every moment. But getting the opportunity to talk to musicians and movie stars and comedians, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. That's awesome, man. And that's what I told you before, even off the air. We took a similar path because when we do the sports and music, we do a lot of entertainers. We've done comedians, we've done actors. So I'm like that formula that you paved the way for, where it doesn't have to just be sports. You can love rock and roll, love sports, and it brings in a bigger crowd. The influence is huge. I love that. So when I listen to you, man, when I listen to your style, and I have for years, I get this I get this kind of a Harry Carey feel when I listen to you. I'm curious of like your influences. You maybe it's as a writer. Who's a couple people that have influenced you in your career, if you will? You know.
Well, I've never taken my shirt off during an interview like Harry used to do up in the booth for the Cubs. So, but I loved Harry Carey. He was obviously a part of the Cardinals broadcast team when I first started listening, and his partner at the time, Jack Buck, would replace him as the lead voice of the Cardinals for many years. And Jack Buck is an idol of mine. I had the opportunity to briefly meet him at Cardinals spring training
Wow.
sometime in the late 90s, I believe, or maybe the 2000s. I don't remember for sure, but yeah, I just said, Jack, you're a big reason why I'm a Cardinals fan. We listened to you when I was a kid. And he said something like, I appreciate that. And that was about it. But the fact that I got to meet him was big. So Jack Buck would be a big influence on me. There was a broadcaster in my youth. A lot of this stuff happened in my very young years when I was not yet 10 years old. So there was a broadcaster for Wichita State at the time named Rick Weaver. And
Okay.
he later went on to become the lead broadcaster on radio for the Miami Dolphins. But he was the voice of the Shockers in my very early years. And he was another big influence. We loved listening to Rick Weaver.
Wow. Okay. Wow. And it's always I always like to hear kind of the puzzle pieces that bring together the people that inspire us. So man, that's I thought the Jack Buck one a little bit. That's good to know. I didn't know the Dolphins one. That's interesting. So I love to hear that, man. Obviously, with what's coming up, I know again you put a lot of your heart and soul. League 42. We love it. We love everything you do with it, what it stands for. It's such a necessity. I'm so grateful that you have spearheaded that. I know that's obviously always on the horizon for you, expanding that. But looking over the next year for you, what's the next year looking like for you? Whether it's League 42 or other projects, what do you think in this next year has for you?
Yeah, League 42 has become a huge part of my life. As I mentioned, I'm about to celebrate my 70th birthday in
Happy
a couple
birthday.
of days. And League 42 is something that we started back in 2013. We thought there was a big need to give baseball, to introduce baseball to so many kids in our community who haven't been able to either afford it or get to it. So we started League 42 in the heart of Wichita at McAdams Park, and right now we're sitting on 620 kids and 46 teams, and
Wow.
we have an indoor facility now, the Leslie Rudd Learning Center. We've expanded into education, after school education enrichment. We have several other education programs that are offshoots of that Bright Lights program. And it's grown and grown, and could have never imagined what League 42 is going to become. So I plan to do that as long as I feel like I'm capable of doing it. It's a big challenge, but I love it, and so that's really on my horizon. That's
I
what
love
I'm
it.
focused on.
So necessary, man. And again, I mean this. I know you're a regular guy like us, but everyone loves what you do. It's no wonder it's grown so rapidly. Taking the heart of the next generation, putting the next generation ahead, man. You're always kind of giving back, and I love the pay it forward mentality. So I'm so glad it's grown. I hope it just continues to grow and grow, man. That's awesome to hear. Um, there's a segment, Bob, every interview we've done. We're 300 plus in our 3 year tenure of this. We have a little segment that we're known for called Rapid Fire. And I'm almost willing to bet in all your days of media, in things that you've done, you probably haven't had an interview segment quite like this. So we're known for this. We're going to give you 5 questions. You don't have to rapidly answer them. What it is Dane and I, when we're both together, typically bet on what we think the guest is going to say. So there's no wrong answer. You go with what you feel is right, and I'll tell you if I bet right on you or not. No wrong answer. Okay.
Well, I hope he doesn't put a lot of money on this.
No, sir, just lunch. It's usually
I'm
like
not predictable.
it's okay. It's usually like lunch or something like that. So in this segment, you can go back in time. There's nothing off limits. Reality doesn't exist. It's just kind of a Rorschach test of your personality. Okay, so
All right, got it.
first question, we know obviously you're a huge Eagles fan. We know that. We've always known that. We celebrate that. So they're taking you back to the early days, Bob, as you are now. You get to go back in time into the 70s, and they say, hey, Don calls you up. The whole band says, hey, we want you to help us write a song for the band. And it ends up being these two choices. You get to co-write. You can co-write Lion Eyes, or I Can't Tell You Why. You're going to be responsible for co-writing it. Which one would you choose?
I picked Lion Eyes because it's a little more intricate song. It has a little more to it. I love I Can't Tell You Why. It's beautifully sung and the melody's great. But I Can't Tell You Why tells a real story from start to finish, and it was written by Glenn Frey, and I love that song, so I would choose that one.
I got it, man. I'm right. Okay, 1 for 1. I knew it. I'm just like I said, I've studied some of the questions, not creepily, but I think I got this. Okay, so question 2. So 1 for 1. Let's see if I can keep this going. Question 2. Obviously, we talked about Harry Carey and Buck and many influences, right? But you get to go back in time when they're the prime of their careers. These two gentlemen, you get to call a World Series with them. These are your two choices that you get to go call a World Series with. Harry Carey, yes, or you can choose Tim McCarver for 1 round. Are you going Harry or Tim? Which way are we going?
Well, Harry, I'd have to be the color guy. So I don't know how I'd play off Harry Carey. I'd rather do Tim McCarver because he was a tremendous analyst, former Cardinal, of course.
Yes, sir.
A guy I really like. So I'd go McCarver.
Let's go. 2 for 2. All right. Dane is going to owe me lunch. I love it. Thank you, Bob. Not that I studied it all, but I got you.
Well, you got 3 more. You could lose all these. So.
I could, man. I could. So the next one, they want you to be what is the word they use? When you're basically helping produce a movie. They want you to be an expert kind of analyst, if you will. Going back in the day, you get to help make one of these 2 movies, and your feedback is basically you write the script. You can be responsible for helping you write Sandlot or Field of Dreams. Which way are you going?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Both great.
Those are both great baseball movies in different ways. They both tug at the heart, for sure. I think I would probably pick The Sandlot simply because of its effect for children, and there are just more kids. It's just a more romantic movie in terms of how it appeals to kids, but it's hard not to go with Field of Dreams too.
Oh man, tough one, huh? Yeah, I got you there.
Oh man,
are you picking Sandlot though? Is that your final?
I'd pick The Sandlot. Yes.
First one I got wrong, man. I had Field of Dreams, but that's okay. I got 1 wrong. I just kind of had this like surreal. I could just see. It's okay, no wrong answer, man. So 2 for 3.
That was the toughest one of the 3 so far. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Check this out. So this one gets a little tougher. So they're making a Lifetime Movie Network is going to pick up the biopic and make the Bob Lutz movie in 2030. So the Bob Lutz biopic. It's going to be called 42 and Beyond. I already gave you a title and everything. It's really cool. And you get to have one of these 2. And I know you love this guy, but this might make you think. One of these 2 gentlemen get to play you in the Bob Lutz biopic. You can choose, of course, Steve Martin. That was one I knew about that. Or you can go a little bit different direction and choose Russell Crowe to play you in the movie. Steve Martin, Russell Crowe, which way are you going?
Well, in the interest of reality, I think I'm probably more like Russell Crowe. So I would probably choose Russell Crowe. I think Steve Martin would have a tough time getting into my character. So Steve Martin only plays really sweet, down-to-earth, good guys. Russell Crowe has a little more range. So
okay.
Go Russell Crowe.
I had you on that. I really did. I could just see it, man. What a cool take on that, the Bob Lutz, Russell Crowe. So when that happens, Lifetime, you guys pick this up. Remember who put this out there, okay? So Bob already said it. We're gonna have Russell play it. So 3 for 4. Last question. It's still iconic, and I can still hear it in my mind. When I go back to the early days when you did Sports Daily, that intro song, it's iconic, that rock thing that you did. Loved it. I've always loved the intro song for Sports Daily. But these 2 artists said, hey, we love your show. We want to make kind of a updated version of Sports Daily. We want to make our own spin of an intro song for you. these two bands approach you and say, Bob, let us cut a song for you. You can go with Metallica or Guns N' Roses to make your Sports Daily intro. Which way you going?
Oh boy, that's another tough one. I probably have listened to more Guns N' Roses in my life, but they're pretty famous already for the Jim Rome intro. So I would go Metallica because I don't want to be repetitive.
Let's go. I had you, man. Dana would have been so mad because his picks, I beat him. So I got 4 for 5. I knew it, Bob. Thank you so much. So thank you, man. I can't believe I got that one wrong, but it's okay. So with that segment, Bob, it's kind of known as rapid fire, just a little something different. Hopefully it's something you haven't had in interviews past. So I appreciate you being a good sport.
Hey, you made me think.
Thanks, man. I love it. So the last segment, Bob, because we know you're a busy guy, this last segment we call it open mic. What this basically is those that, again, you've influenced my life heavily, but people that maybe want to step in your shoes one day, maybe it's journalism, could be sports, it could be non-sports. If you were to go back and give some advice to someone that wants to step in your shoes one day, what advice would you give them, if you will?
You know, we have a program in League 42 that we call the Passion Project, and I created that program because I'm a big believer in passion. When used correctly, it can fuel so many things that are positive in a person's life. My concern has been that so many kids grow up without hope and without the passion to get beyond that. So we talk about when we invite a speaker to talk about passion, we want them to tell us how it fueled their career, how it made it easier for them, how they got on a path to success. And if you talk to successful people, passion is a big part of why they're successful. It doesn't matter what the passion is for. My passion happened to be for sports. So I was able to turn that into a career, a long career that's been a lot of fun. League 42 is different than journalism or radio, but it still involves baseball. And so my passion for League 42 is very strong. And if kids will find something that they're passionate about, regardless of what it is, it doesn't have to be something they're going to pursue even as a career. But if they get up every morning and they're passionate, then I believe they have a much better opportunity to find a way to success. And that's really what League 42 is all about. Yeah, we love for kids to play baseball. We want them to come to our learning program. We want to surround them with coaches who care about them and try to do what they can to help them. But at the end of the day, we want them to be successful. So we're starting to see our kids now that played with us that first year back in 2014. Here we are 11 years later. So some of those kids are now in their late teens, early 20s, even approaching their mid 20s. So it's been fun to watch that development and to see what some of these guys and girls have done.
Wow. Pick your passion, man. That's they say pick your passion and you never have to work a day. So I think it's great advice, man. And it rings true. I mean, like you said, you've been passionate about your career for a long time and done it very well. And that's why people love it. They'll flock to it. So thank you for that, Bob. It's always sound advice. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. Bob, I'll say, man, I know again with all the projects you've got coming up, I know stealing you away for a little bit. It was an honor for us. Like I said, I meant every word of what I told you. Hope in the days to come, we'd love to showcase more of what you do with League 42. If you don't mind, let's make sure this isn't the last time we meet up. It's a true honor. Let's make sure we do this again sometime. And I just can't wait to celebrate the continued success of League 42. Okay.
Well, like I said, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. And it's obvious you have a passion for your podcast. You've done it now for 3 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You keep going after it and you keep finding good guests, today notwithstanding.
Great guess.
You know, your passion is obvious. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you, Bob. True honor, man. Again, I can't say enough thank you. So with that, I'll give you some time back in your day. We can't wait. Let us know more details on League 42 times and all that. We'll be sure to share that always. If you've got games coming up, we'd love to broadcast that and showcase it. So just keep us in the loop on that and any scheduling updates. Okay. So
thank you for having me.
thank you, Bob. Much love. Have a great Sunday. Okay. Appreciate your time. Take care. So guys, that's Bob Lutz. I'm telling you, the just legendary man. That guy has molded my career, my basically radio career, if you will. Watching what he does, listening to how he approaches the game. Nobody's like him. So I encourage you, get a chance. You'll see his links, follow along. What he's doing for the kids at League 42 is second to none. Truly cares about humanity, and I just love this guy. So that was one of those bucket list items for me. I'm so glad I got to do this. So Dane, you missed out on a good one today, but hopefully you'll get to listen back and get a little bit of what I learned today as well. So you guys out there, on behalf of Dane and Josh, and of course the Lutzes, don't forget, as always, that we love you. And as Dane would say, as always, thank you for listening.